Yo, what's up, ballers? It's Elijah. Today, I'm going to be looking over Bleacher Report's post-free agency power rankings, and I'll say if I agree or disagree and give my power rankings. So, let's get into it. At number 30, Bleacher Report has Oklahoma City Thunder. I 100% agree. They have Shea and they have Josh Giddey, who they just drafted, who apparently sprained his ankle. Prayers for him. But I don't think they'll be good. No offense to Oklahoma, but yeah, just my opinion. Number 29, Bleacher Report has Orlando. So I think that they would have Detroit next. I feel like Detroit, Orlando, and Oklahoma are like the big three that might not make it. That are probably not making it. Orlando and Oklahoma I think 1,000% are not making it. I 100% agree with Orlando at 29. The Pistons, I feel like they have a chance. I know some people think that they're 1,000% not going to the playoffs, but I think they have a chance with Cade or Sadiq Bey, Luca Garza, even who's looking really good in summer league. Who's probably not even gonna get minutes though. Jeremy Grant, and yeah, I think they have a chance to make the playoffs. I I don't think they will, and I think they're 95% out, but I think they have a slight chance. See, yeah, so Detroit. Oh, and Killian Hayes, my bad. And yeah, they have Detroit at 28. I agree. Those three teams, I 100% agree. The Rockets at 27. So I think that's a good spot for the Rockets, but I do feel like they could go a little bit higher. I know probably not in front of some teams. I think they could be in front of San Antonio. And San Antonio is probably going to be next, or Indiana probably, but I don't know. But I think they could be better than San Antonio and maybe Indiana. I know it's a hot take, but I still think so because Jalen Green, who's been looking so good in summer league and he was in G League, so he had experience. He had 23 points in his first, 25 in the second game, and he's looking really good with Christian Wood, who was playing like an all-star before his injury. You have Jayshawn Tate, Kenny Martin Jr., you have a lot of decent players, and Daniel Tice, who they just signed, but he's probably going to be coming off. No, he's probably going to start, but I really think Alperen Sengun should start over him. He's been playing so well for the Rockets in Summer League, and yeah, and they also have Josh Christopher, Usman Garuba, and yeah, I think they should be 25, my opinion. 26, San Antonio. So, San Antonio, I don't know what they're doing. They drafted Joshua Primo. Derek White's not young anymore. You still have Keldon Johnson and Lonnie Walker and Devin Vassell, who are still young. You brought in Zach Collins, which isn't bad, but he's getting a lot of injuries, and I don't know if he'll help your team that much. You brought in Doug McDermott. That's not bad at all. I think he could space the floor really well. He's a good shooter, so that's not a bad pickup. But you have a young team, and with DeJounte Murray still young. You brought in Thaddeus Young, and that's not bad at either. But you guys are a young team and can develop. You have some young players, but you have some old players, but mostly young players. And that team could be good later on, but I just don't think they're that good right now in 2022. So I think that Houston could be in front of them. Number 25th, I think it should be Indiana. Let's see. It is Cleveland. So Cleveland, I think, could be higher. I think could be 24, 23. And I also think that Houston could be better than Cleveland as well. But Cleveland, besides Evan Mobley and Jared Allen might not work, you have a really deep young core, and that starting five would look like Darius Garland, who's a young star, a future star. in the league. Colin Sexton is also a future star. I think they'll keep him on the team this offseason. I don't think they'll trade him, even though there were trade talks about him. Then you have Isaac Okoro, who's your rookie from last year, who's still he's 20 years old. He's young, and he's a good player overall and has great athleticism. You have Evan Mobley, who you just drafted, who's also looking pretty good in Summer League. He can do it all, pass. He's like a Jokic. And then you have Jared Allen at the starting 5. That's a good team. I think they could go number 24. I think Indiana, and I think they're better than Indiana. I also think Houston's better than Indiana. Cleveland could also be worse than Houston, but I don't know. I like this Cleveland Cavaliers team at like 24th, 23rd. Sacramento, actually, yeah, I agree with that. I think Sacramento's 24. I think Cleveland and Houston are better than Sacramento. I know it's a little bit of a stretch, but Sacramento's a good team now with De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Halliburton. Davion Mitchell's looking really good in Summer League. You have Marvin Bagley and Rashawn Holmes that you just re-signed, which I like a lot. So this team isn't bad at all. I think could be number 24. I like them at number 24, but I would move Indiana to 25 and Cleveland or Houston to 23. Oh, okay. So you guys have Toronto at 23. I don't know. I think Toronto could be pretty good. I don't think they're a playoff team. Maybe they can be, but they are certainly, I think, better than Indiana. I think they could be like 21, 20. And you have Fred VanVleet, who's still really good. You have Goran Dragic you brought in for a veteran point guard. I know you gave up another veteran point guard, but you're getting a veteran point guard and a good, decent center in Precious Achiuwa. And you could trade Pascal for a good package, like maybe you trade him to the Kings for Marvin Bagley and a different player. I like that trade for both teams. And yeah, so I think that they could trade Pascal and maybe improve their team, get a 2-for-1 deal, or they can just run with this team, which is still pretty good. I like the Precious Achiuwa pickup as long as Goran Dragic. So I think they'd be better than Indiana. I'm sorry, Indiana. I'm being really disrespectful to you, but it's just my opinion, though. Oh yeah, I think Toronto is definitely better than Washington. I think Washington can also be can be worse than Houston, but I'm not sure because they do have Bradley Beal. They brought in Spencer Dinwiddie. They have Denny Avdia. They have rookie Corey Kispert. They have Rui Hachimura, Thomas Bryant, Daniel Gafford. Montrezl Harrell, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope for shooting. I don't think that team's bad at all. I just think maybe the Rockets could be better than them. I know that's probably not the case, but I think it could happen. I think that the Cleveland Cavaliers could also be better than them, but I just don't see them at 22. Indiana's got to be next. No. I said this in my last video, not my reaction videos, but I was talking about the 2022 early predictions. No. I think New Orleans, I know they didn't have a great last half of the offseason by bringing in Devontae Graham. Maybe he could be good for them. They got rid of Lonzo. They didn't try to re-sign him. And they didn't try to re-sign him, and they gave away a first-round pick in the Lonzo signing trade, and they didn't even get a first-round pick for Devontae Graham back. So I don't think that's good, but their start was just so good that even though they had a bad other half, I think they could still make the playoffs. Yeah, I had them at the 7th seed. I like them in the playoffs a lot. You have Zion, who's been playing great and is still 22 years old. You have Brandon Ingram, who's a young star again, who I think is developing a little bit more and can help the team immediately now. You have Devontae Graham, who's a great shooter that you brought in, which was a little questionable. But you have Jonas Valanciunas now, who can space the floor for Zion and can shoot threes. I like that a lot for the Pelicans. You also have Trey Murphy, who you drafted, who I like a lot. Josh Hart. Their team is deep, and I think they can make the playoffs. So I think New Orleans can make the playoffs and is better than. And you got rid of Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams salary cap. I think they could be better than Indiana and stuff like that. So Minnesota at 20. I know I'm just throwing this out there, but I think they're going to be better than Indiana as well. As I said in my predictions video, I think they're right below the Pelicans as the 8 seed. I think probably Memphis or Portland can make it as the 8 seed and they can be in the play-in. But I think they played really well the last half of the season, and I think that Anthony Edwards can play better than he did last season. D'Lo will be back. They won't have to face as many injuries. Malik Beasley could play like he did last season as a 6-man. And that team is just really good. And I think that they could be like 18 on this list. Indiana. Okay, Memphis. I'm fine with Memphis here. But I do think Memphis might be slightly better than Indiana. I just don't know. Indiana. The Clippers? Look, I know they won't have Kawhi, but I feel like that Paul, like what we saw in the playoffs, they re-signed Reggie Jackson, and if he could play like he did in the playoffs for the regular season, that's great for them. They re-signed Nicholas Batum, who's a great shooter. You have Paul George, who played really well last year's playoffs and probably will play as well for them in the regular season. So I think that they could I think they can be in the playoff spot. I know in my video where I did 2022 predictions, I put them in a high seed at like 5. I know, but like I think they could be around the play-in or maybe like 6 seed and 7 seed. I don't know, but I want to apologize for putting them so high in my last video, my prediction video. So I want to put them. Still think they could be playoff potential team. And yeah, there's Indiana. Look, Indiana is a good team. They have a really good team. Like they have all decent players. They don't have one superstar. I guess you could say Domantas Sabonis is a superstar, but they have Malcolm Brogdon, Karis LeVert. You have Rick Carlisle as your new head coach, which I like for them. You have Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner. You have T.J. Warren. Like that's a good deep team. I just think that they could be. Look, I want to put them higher because of how good their team is, but I think they could be like around the 22 mark, and I feel like even Houston could be better than them. I know it's crazy to say, but I just don't think Indiana can compete. I think they can, and they're a good team. I just don't think they're that as good as like some teams as maybe New York and Houston, Cleveland, Chicago. Oh, Chicago's in the West, my bad. You have, I don't know about Detroit. I feel like Detroit could make an upset, but I still think Indiana's better than Detroit. I don't know about Indiana. I'm not really high believers about them, but yeah, that's okay with me. Boston 16, I agree. They brought in Dennis Schroeder. That's fine. They brought in Enes Kanter, which I don't really get because they have Robert Williams and Al Horford. They brought in Chris Dunn, and yeah, so I'm not sure about their team. I still think they could be playoff potential as like the 7th seed or the 8th seed in the play-in spot. But 16, that's fine with me. 15, they got Charlotte. I didn't have Charlotte in my playoff thing. I think Charlotte could be like 18 and where the Clippers are, and Clippers could be here. I have Charlotte. I don't have them in my playoff, but I think they 100% could. I think they're probably going to make the play-in. They could be the 8th seed, and they could be the 6th seed even. I don't know. They could be the 7th seed or the 8th seed. They're a deep team. They're a good team, but I just don't have them high. With LaMelo, James Bouknight, Kai Jones, Kelly Oubre, Mason Plumlee, I think they're a good team, and I think they could probably make the playoffs, but I just didn't have them there with the other teams that I had. 14, Portland, I agree. I don't know if they're going to trade. I don't know if they're going to trade CJ McCollum. Probably not, but they just aren't winning with the team that they have. They probably have to make some changes, but 14's good for them. 13, Chicago. I agree. Chicago made a huge jump by adding DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, and Alex Caruso in free agency. I like that a lot for the Bulls, and I think they're a playoff team. New York at 12. Okay, yeah, I think I had Chicago over New York. I think you could switch them and put Chicago at 12, New York at 13. I like New York's team, and I think they could be a 7 seed. I had them at the 8 seed. I think they could be a 7 seed, a 6 seed. I agree that they could be better than Chicago with Kemba on a small contract, $16 million, 2-year, $16 million deal. RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. And yeah, I think they are a deep team and can really make a good playoff push. They could be the 6th seed in my opinion. I just had them at the 8th seed, a little below Chicago. Dallas is next. 11 seed. Yeah, that's great. They added Reggie. It's fine. They added Reggie Bullock for 3-point shooting. Who's a good 3-point shooter. They re-signed Tim Hardaway, which I think is a good deal, and yeah, that's fine with me. 11 seed. Denver 10. Yeah, sure. They probably won't have Jamal Murray for the first half of the season, but they were still the 3 seed last year. Jokic was the MVP. Michael Porter Jr. is really good developing. They brought in Jeff Green, and yeah. Number 9, the Warriors. Man, they're disrespecting them. I think the Warriors could be 6, 5 in this power rankings. I think they could be top 5. 9, feels like, look, all these 4 players are still on the team. Well, Andre's back, but all these 4 players are on the team right now, and yeah, they gone to the finals every year with that team. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think they could be top 5, top 4 even. I think they're better than Philadelphia. Philadelphia is probably going to lose Ben Simmons, like 99% sure that he's going to lose Ben Simmons. Maybe they could get if they get Damian Lillard, okay, fine. They might be better than the Warriors, but I just don't see them getting Damian Lillard. And they're getting rid of Ben Simmons, who's still a good player in my opinion. And I don't know. I think the Warriors are better than them. Atlanta, yes. Yes, some people are doubting Atlanta. I love Atlanta's team. I am a true believer of Atlanta. I think they can make a huge push in the playoffs. And I had them at my 3 seed in the East. Wow. Well, yeah, I think they're a good team. 2 great defensive players in the front court with John Collins and Clint Capella. You have Trae Young, who's still developing. I know he probably won't score as many points without that rule that you could bump into players for the foul. But you also have Bojan Bogdanovic. You have, you have DeAndre Hunter. And that team, I think, can make a push. And, yeah, I think the Warriors still will be slightly better at like 6 or 5. But I like them at 7. Utah, I had them a seed less than the Warriors. I think the Warriors could... Sorry about that. I am so sorry about that. Let me find that again. 1 second. I am sorry about that. So I was at 6. So I think the Warriors could be better than Utah. So I think that Utah could be at like a 7th spot in these power rankings. I think the Warriors could be 6 and 5, like I said. Utah's still a good team, 100% making the playoffs, but yeah. Number 5, they got Phoenix. Yeah, sure. I had them a seed higher than the Warriors. I think that they could be the 4 in this power rankings, or 5's good for them. And yeah, next one, Miami. So I had Miami worse than Atlanta. Yeah, I know. I think that they can probably be the 8th or the 7th, and Atlanta could be the 6th, and the Warriors could be the 5th, and Utah could be the 7th or something like that, and Phoenix could be the 4th. I like Miami by adding Kyle Lowry, and I think they could be the 4th, but I just think that the Warriors, Utah, Phoenix, Atlanta, I think they're all better than Miami, but we'll see. We'll see about that. But yeah, I'm fine with this. The next 3 teams, obviously, is going to be Brooklyn, Milwaukee, and the Lakers, and I 100% agree. And I'm guessing Milwaukee should be next. No, it's the Lakers. Okay, so I think that the Lakers should be number 2 in this, and Milwaukee should be number 3, and Brooklyn obviously number 1. The Brooklyn's the most talented team. But, like, the Lakers just added... Okay, fine. If let's say they didn't have the free agency yet, and this is not post free agency, number 3 is fine. They didn't add Carmelo, they didn't add Malik Monk yet, they didn't add anybody that they signed. So number 3 is fine. But after adding Malik Monk for shooting that they needed, they added Kent Bazemore, they added Melo, they added Dwight Howard as a backup center, they added Trevor Ariza for defense, they added so many great players, Wayne Ellington for shooting. And I just think they're number 2. They're a really talented team, and yeah, and Milwaukee should be number 3. But Milwaukee's probably going to be number 2. And yes, Milwaukee is number 2. That's fine. I still think they should be number 3, and the Lakers are number 2. But they just won the championship. But after, I know you can't just put them at 2 just because they won the championship, because the Lakers added players, the Nets added players, and I don't think they'll be winning the championship again. Maybe Giannis could go off, and Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, but I just don't know. I think the Lakers are better than them at the number 2, and then Brooklyn at number 1. So these 3 teams I agree with as the top 3. They could go either way, but I think Brooklyn number 1, Laker number 2, and Milwaukee number 3. So yeah, Bleacher Report. Okay, sure. Those were my power rankings. That's all I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. And peace out, ballers.